I thought I'd be retired now, no longer looking at environmental impact statements, but working under and respecting the full disclosure requirements of the National Environmental Policy Act. I have problems with the way certain impacts are being presented here. One of those is the impact of the wind project vessel surveys that use high-intensity noise devices to characterize the seabed for installation of the wind turbine foundations and export cables. There has been a spike in recent whale and dolphin deaths off the Jersey Shore. 27 deaths in a 4-month period compared to past annual averages of just 7. So we looked for evidence, found that it does exist, and want to share it with you. You can decide for yourself whether you think there's a connection between the vessel surveys and the recent whale and dolphin deaths. So first, let's look at the survey effort. This map shows the survey area for the Atlantic Shores South project. The purpose of this survey is stated at the top of the map to characterize the lease area, which is in purple, and its export cable routes, whose landfalls are shown by the X's. But the whole area, the purple, the green, and the pink, goes far beyond that, all the way up the New Jersey coast and out to Long Island. Similar area extensions exist for the other project lease areas further offshore. The survey areas also overlap each other. The end result is a huge area surveyed, in many places repeatedly by different companies. This results in a very large number of noise disturbances to the marine mammals in the area, and likely repeated disturbances to the same animal. It's not clear why such large survey areas are being improved unless they're actually looking for something else, like new turbine locations. We'll return to this later. Going back to the whale deaths, based on Coast Guard Mariner reports, the number of survey vessels off New Jersey increased from 2 in November 2022 to 6 in December of 2022, when the whale deaths started, like the one in this photo. Through March of 2023, there were 27 such deaths in the New Jersey, New York area. The blue line in this chart shows the whale deaths reported for the past few years. The green bars show the number of vessel survey approvals. As you can see, as the vessel surveys increase, so do the whale deaths. The gray bar shows 52 dolphin deaths in the same period, a very high and unusual number as well. This other chart shows humpback whale stranding and vessel survey approvals in the New York and New Jersey area back from 2016, when the vessel surveys began. There is again a correlation between the two. The more surveys, the more deaths, and a more pronounced effect occurring in the 2021 to 2023 timeframe. So time-wise, the whale deaths and the vessels do correlate. It's also striking that the places of the whale deaths coincide with vessel presence. Here is one chart for the period of January 1st to March 2023 that shows the locations of the whale deaths with the black dots alongside the tracks of the nearby service vessels shown by the colored areas. The vessels are often present where the whales washed up or died. But going back to that same period in the next map in 2015, Before the survey vessels were out there, there was only one death far out to sea. So again, geographically, there does appear to be a connection between whale deaths and vessel survey presence. More charts connecting the vessel activity and the whale death locations are in our report, which can be found at the link at the end of the video. So time-wise and place-wise, the surveys and whale deaths seem connected. But how do the surveys actually affect the whale? Well, they affect the marine mammals from the high-intensity noise devices. But these survey approvals underestimate the distance that the higher noise level extends from the vessel, and therefore the number and the frequency of those marine mammal disturbances. First, they use a low noise source level of 203 decibels from a smaller device rather than the actual measured 211 decibels from the more powerful Sparker device being used here, as shown in this table, taken from a source often used by the agencies themselves. We'll have to talk about that decibel scale a bit later, because that lower number means a lot to the whales. Then they assume that the noise level drops off quickly as it travels away from the vessel. They use a 20 decibel loss with distance everywhere, but that only works from the vessel until the sound wave hits the bottom, as shown here. Then the sound travels out, confined between the seabed and surface, and doesn't dissipate nearly as much. We use a rate of 15 decibels for that transition, which has been used by the agencies for other survey authorizations. Maybe you're thinking, well, what's the big difference between 5 decibels here and there? It means a lot to the whales, because when you measure noise in decibels, an increase of just 3 decibels means that the actual intensity of the noise is twice as large as it was before. The difference in the distance from the vessel with the elevated noise using the agency's numbers versus ours is striking, from 1/10 of a mile to 1.5 miles, meaning many more animals are disturbed with the better numbers. Then the serious harm and fatality to marine mammals that can occur from such disturbances is not addressed. That harm can come from many directions, including the loss of navigation capability, the ability to detect food, prey, and predator, and the loss of communication, for example, between mothers and calves. Finally, many past marine mammal stranding events worldwide have been associated with vessel surveys using other devices, air guns. Some are concerned with those surveys, but not these, saying that the noise coming from the air gun is louder. And that's true, but most of that air gun noise is directed downward. When you look at the noise going outward between the seabed and surface where the whales are, as shown here, the effects of both devices are similar. So those past episodes are also evidence of the potential cause here. You got a low noise source level, and then you use a high noise loss rate. That accounts for the big differences. No other plausible causes for the deaths have been put forward. Some say the recent whale and dolphin deaths are due to vessel strike and entanglements or change feeding patterns due to climate change. These do not bear up. Commercial vessel activity off the New Jersey area actually decreased from November 2022 during the time of the whale deaths. Blunt force trauma, which could be vessel strike or something else, has only been identified in 20% of the deaths. Climate change is a slow process that doesn't account for a spike like this. And if the whales are feeding in a different location, which has not been proven, that should not kill them. So actually, there is a lot of evidence of vessel survey cause summarized in this table. I'll give you a chance to read it. And from this, we concluded that the vessel surveys were the likely cause of the whale deaths and suggested the following. First, that the survey areas should be cut back to only what's necessary to characterize the current lease area and the current export cable routes. Any future turbine locations should be determined by the agency through the proper program and environmental reviews and not prejudiced by these surveys. Second, the noise device energy settings should be made public, reviewed, and if necessary, reduced. Third, a coordinated data sharing program using fewer vessels should be set up. If the agencies do not pursue sensible things like that, then the vessel survey should cease until a proper, thorough, and independent investigation is done. Our report, with all the evidence linking the vessel surveys to the whale deaths, can be found at this link. Please review it all, see what you think is the cause.